Back onto the subject of human bollards now. Marshals are in Norwich city centre because drivers keep going down a road that is officially closed to traffic. Exchange Street, which runs past the Gerald's department store, has been pedestrianised, but people keep driving down there. Lucy Hall is the human bollard we've been talking about. She was so fed up with cars going down the street, she blocked traffic by standing in the road, and she ended up then being stopped by police.
I feel that standing in a pedestrian area isn't a crime unless I'm blocking all the pedestrians. So I really felt that their attention should have been on the drivers and not on me.
Well, since Lucy's protests, Norfolk County Council has put up temporary signs in the area telling people that Exchange Street is closed. Marshals are being used to direct traffic. The council is also promising permanent signs will be put up. Let's talk to Derek Williams from the Norwich Cycling Campaign about all of this. Derek, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Stephen.
Do you admire the work of our human bollard, Lucy Hall?
I think she's very brave, yes. I wish I'd have had the courage to do that. Indeed.
Yes, standing in the middle of Exchange Street, the bit that got me was while the traffic was building up and the drivers were getting increasingly irate. It takes a certain type of person to be able to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I can understand it. You know, Exchange Street is a very narrow street, and it's just really not suitable for cars. It's surrounded by big buildings, and there just isn't much space down there. It's long overdue for closing. Although, I will just correct myself there, the street has not been closed, it's been opened to people. And I think that's really significant.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. But what I will say with my driver's hat on, if there is such a thing, is that you have to have a little bit of sympathy, don't you, in that this is a road that, while you're saying it's not suitable for traffic, has always been open to traffic, and you have always been able to drive down there, or up until COVID, up until 2020. So if people don't come into Norwich that often, you can understand them taking the route that, as far as they're concerned, they've always been able to take, can't you?
Well, yes, but this isn't exactly a new plan. The closure of all these, the prevention of driving of all these streets in Norwich actually dates back 60 years to something called the Buchanan Report, or otherwise known as Traffic in Towns, when the whole idea of stopping through traffic through the city centre was born. And it's taken us 60 years now to get to this stage. But we could say, great, we've done it. But of course, we're now following a traffic plan that's 60 years old. It's out of date.
And the other big complication here, Derek, is that there are lots of businesses in that area. We've mentioned Gerald's, that there are other places as well that obviously need their stock delivered and sometimes have quite big things that need to get out to customers. So that they still need to be able to have access to that road, don't they?
Well, and they've still got access to the road. It's only completely closed to vehicles between 10 o'clock and 4, I think that's correct. So outside of those times, and it's the same in Gentleman's Walk and all the other streets in Norwich, they can have deliveries. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
absolutely.
By which I mean that if you start putting up barriers and things, that it means that couldn't happen. So the road, the way it is, it's got to be left as it is, hasn't it?
No. Gentleman's Walk isn't a road, is it? It doesn't look like a road. You don't get people driving down there. The problem with Exchange Street at the moment is it does look like a road. It's still got the old road signs up. It's got one-way street signs. It's got traffic lights at the end. They should all be gone by now. You know, it shouldn't look like a street. Hopefully it can be nicely resurfaced with stones or something to make it look like London Street. So it actually looks like a place for people, not a place for cars.
Do you think that's the main problem with it? That it actually, psychologically, you think, oh, this is a road, I can drive down here. I can see where you're coming from.
That's a large part of the problem, yeah. There is another problem, which is St Giles Car Park, St Giles Street Car Park. And traffic coming out of there has to be able to escape. Obviously, it has to be able to get out. And the plan at the moment is for it to go round in front of City Hall and then round the loop and back to the roundabout. This is part of the original Buchanan ring and loop system. I think nowadays what we need really is the ability for traffic to turn right out of the car park and make the top bit of St Giles two-way, so that the traffic doesn't come down in front of City Hall. Because the trouble is, City Hall, the space outside City Hall gets used for all sorts of things, and sometimes it gets closed. So where's the traffic supposed to go then?
Yeah, and you're right, because this is where it doesn't quite stack up, because in this, and this just happens to be where I'm speaking to you from now, this bit of Norwich has two fairly decent-sized multi-storey car parks, doesn't it? St Giles, you've mentioned, the Forum is another one, and yet there's now only one road in and out of the car park, which at busy Christmas shopping times causes problems. Yes, and it goes through an area which needs to be closed every now and then. So that's really not functional. So I think the council has to look again at some of the proposals for the Connecting the Lanes project, which is generally very good, and we're very supportive of that. But certainly the traffic coming out of the car park needs to be able to turn right and escape that way. Either that, of course, or close the car park. There, I suggest it. Derek, thank you very much. We'll put that out there. See what people think about that as we head towards.
I'm sure they'll love it.
As we head towards Christmas shopping time, yes. So closing the car parks may be not the answer that everyone wants, but you then have to have other ways of getting into the city, don't you? Always interesting. Derek Williams from the Norwich Cycling Campaign. Now, Norfolk County Council is responsible for the changes to Exchange Street. It says it has seen more drivers going down there recently. It tells us it's put up temporary signs, which I can vouch for. They have appeared in recent days to remind people not to drive down Exchange Street, and the traffic marshals are going to be used over the coming weeks. Those marshals don't have the power to give people fines, though. The council says it plans to install permanent signs before the end of the year.